I chose to watch Battling Bad Science with Dr. Ben Goldacre, a doctor and an epidemiologist who examines the health industry and the bad science in it. In this video, he discusses health advice reported through the news, including on the internet. He asks important questions about how evidence is misused, misreported, and distorted in order to persuade us to follow certain advice. Dr. Goldcare states that journalists, doctors, and the pharmaceutical industry distort facts in order to convince people to follow advice, use medication, or try healing methods. Pharmaceutical companies use methods of manipulation in a more advanced way. He says industry funded trials are 4 times more likely to have a flattering result. Goldcare 2011 video than independently sponsored trials. Upon examining methods used in industry funded trials, it's clear that their methods are better than independently sponsored trials. So, how do they get this result that they want? Often, negative data is actually withheld from doctors and patients. This is a problem, a big problem. Not only does it create distrust, but as doctors and patients, it's crucial to know all of data and evidence in order to see whether or not the treatment is effective. However, there are actual ways to tell whether or not some of the data is missing from a report and a study. Dr. Goldacre discusses 2 ways. Using statistics or stories. Using statistics, you can create a funnel to plot to show when small negative data is missing. Publication bias will show up in this type of graph. He talks about using stories to reveal missing data. For example, 76% of the trials done on drug were withheld concerning one specific drug, reboxetine mesylate. Of all the trials he had read, as a doctor interested in prescribing the drug, were all positive. This is not a one-off. It happens all the time. He says that approximately 50% of all the trial data on antidepressants has also been withheld. Another example is with the drug Tamiflu, which has been used worldwide to treat the flu. Governments have ensured that this drug is available in order to avoid serious complications from the flu, such as pneumonia and death. The pharmaceutical company doesn't only claim that Tamiflu will shorten the duration of symptoms, but that these more serious complications can also be avoided. But how do we know this is true, especially when the company will not hand over all of the full data from trials on the drug to the infectious disease Cochrane group for examination? This is a serious ethical problem in the health industry. Actually, Goldacre claims that it's the biggest ethical problem in the medical industry. How do we make informed decisions without all of the information? He closes his talk by saying that sunlight is the best disinfectant. He means this metaphorically as well as literally. We need to shed light on what is going on and expose the truth. The deception within the health industry is rather shocking and widespread. Goldacre talk reveals this ethical problem from a doctor's point of view, making it more clear for patients as well how important is this to have a doctor you can trust to examine things thoroughly. I agree with Dr. Goldacre that this is something that needs to be exposed, much like a disease needs to be revealed in order for us to treat it. He uses the word disinfectant in the closing, drawing a similarity between purposeful deception and infection. Our medical industry is sick. It's contaminated. We cannot depend on the information we are given when much of it is withheld in order to persuade us to follow along blindly and take the drug we've been given without any questions asked. As Goldacre says, real science is all about critically appraising the evidence for somebody else's position. We need to closely examine scientific claims, whether they are from a pharmaceutical company, an online publication, or a book. What authority do we trust when we make choices concerning our health? Who can we trust? He turns to independent parties such as the Cochrane Infectious Disease, who are dedicated to find out the truth. As readers and patients, many of us are not privy to the information that he has access to, such as specific studies and reports. What we can do is to follow advice such as that in Health Psychology by Brannon, Feast, and Updegraff. In chapter 2, they talk about becoming an informed reader of health-related research on the internet. Brannon, Feast, and Updegraff, 2014. Some of the steps we need to take in examining research are researching the website itself and how reputable it is, checking out the purpose or mission of the website. Is it more likely to be unbiased? Look at evidence or sources for their claims, examine the research and studies cited, asking where the information comes from, is it a first or second source, and taking a look at the date of the study. Is it current or more dated? All of this is very helpful information to guide us as readers. I also find that it's important to find more than one reputable source to back up a claim. It's similar to finding a second witness at a crime scene. It means the first witness story is more likely. It also broadens the sample and makes the evidence more applicable. I enjoyed watching Goldacre's video about bad science and current ethical issues in the health industry. As a parent and as a health conscious person, I'm very concerned about the misuse of health information. Not as much by non-health professionals, but more so by health professionals and pharmaceutical companies themselves. The reason this concerns me more is because this means that this is a systemic, institutional-wide problem. It is not a localized infection requiring neosporin or hydrogen peroxide and a band-aid. It requires deeper examination and a stronger antiseptic treatment.